What if Luke Skywalker time traveled to Revenge of the Sith? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Luke Skywalker stares in awe as he finds himself in the streets of Coruscant, right in the middle of battle. He immediately recognizes this chaotic battle as the infamous invasion of Coruscant. It must be where the world between worlds has brought him. Keeping his hand on his lightsaber ready, he dodges through the streets, the sound of explosions and blaster fire filling the air. All around him, he finds battle droids fighting with clone troopers. Keeping his head low, Luke moves through the alleys, trying to avoid the chaos as he heads up to the upper districts. That is, until he hears a woman scream. Luke rushes to the sound of the noise and spots Padmé Amidala, standing amidst the chaos and being targeted by a wave of battle droids, and fires back at them with her blaster. He instinctively feels something deeply familiar about her, a pull toward her presence. But he can't think about it for long as he leaps into action and cuts his way through the battle droids to her side. As the droids turn to face him, he easily sweeps through them, unleashing a force push that throws them over the edge. Padmé bows her head and offers her thanks, asking who he is. Luke simply says he is a new Jedi who was tasked with helping the people on the streets. This is enough for the senator, who asks to be escorted to the Senate building. Luke nods, sensing an unexplainable connection to her. Keeping Padmé behind him, Luke takes her toward the Senate building, where hundreds are being evacuated. They quickly find a gunship to take them to the less densely populated areas of Coruscant, where the attacks are less intense, all the while facing waves of battle droids. But the evacuees are grateful to have a Jedi by their side, as Luke expertly keeps the droids back with his lightsaber. As they reach the evacuation area, Luke busies himself by helping the wounded by using the Force to treat their injuries. Padmé watches him, impressed by Luke's abilities. Not just with his ability to help the injured, but also with the compassion he displays, assuring them that everything will be okay. But these thoughts are interrupted as a massive ship tumbles from the sky. The Invisible Hand.
What is happening there?
That is probably one of my friends.
The Invisible Hand continues to plummet from the sky, half breaking apart in the atmosphere, while the other half crashes into the ground. From the wreckage, a trio of figures come tumbling out. Two of them are Jedi, and the third is the Chancellor. Padmé's eyes widen, and she calls for a medical team to join her as they rush to help them. The trio are soon brought inside, where Luke's eyes widen. Unlike Padmé, he immediately recognizes the presence of his father. It is younger, but unmistakable. Anakin notices the new arrival too and frowns, becoming guarded until Padmé assures them it's okay.
Anakin, this is Luke. He rescued me during the battle and helped me get to safety. He's an incredible healer and kept us safe.
Oh, I see. Thank you, young one. Although I sense something familiar about you.
Oh, well, I work a lot in the healing ward of the Jedi Temple. Perhaps you saw me there.
This seems to be enough for Anakin, who accepts this explanation. However, Padmé pulls Anakin away to talk privately. Luke is about to leave when he spots Palpatine talking with some of the senators. He suddenly feels a tingle run through his spine as he spots the Chancellor. Although not burnt as he was when they first met upon the second Death Star, he immediately recognizes the Sith Emperor and frowns. Part of him wants to attack him right away, but another reminds him of how dangerous the situation is. Instead, he forces himself to be calm, but as their eyes lock, he could have sworn the Emperor smirked at him. Luke pushes it aside and excuses himself, saying he must return to the Jedi Temple. True to his word, Luke immediately makes his way back to the temple. Although there are no records of him, the temple is so busy tending to the wounded that no one questions him and is just glad to have some extra hands. Everyone except Yoda, who notices Luke. Once he's finished tending to a patient, he pulls him aside.
Unusual, you are. From a different time you come. The Force around you. Unsettled it is. Like ripples in still water.
Master Yoda, what you're suggesting is impossible. Surely you're joking.
Much I have seen in this galaxy. Impossible, nothing is. The truth I will have, or inform the council of this, I will.
Wait. Yes, I'm not from here, Master Yoda. I'm from 20 years in the future. I came here by accident, through a place called the World Between Worlds.
Our path of connections, the world between worlds is. But dangerous it remains. Tempting it is to change what may be.
Master Yoda, I understand your caution, but I know now what happens if nothing changes. The Jedi Order, our order, they fall, and the galaxy suffers under darkness. The reason I'm here, it must mean something. Maybe the Force sent me here to ensure the future doesn't happen.
Knew I did that clouds surrounded the Jedi. Patience I have shown, hoping clear the truth would become. But near the end of the war, clouded my vision remains. The path you seek, uncertain it is. Perhaps not the Jedi ways we must follow. Change the galaxy may, if steps we take.
But I will keep walking it to find answers. Surely you can understand that.
Understand, yes. But where will you go?
I believe Padmé is key. I sensed something about her.
Then learn you must. Remain here in the temple you may.
Luke smiles and nods, turning his attention back to the healing, as he now at least has a place to stay. But that is just the first step. He must get close to Padmé and the Chancellor. Opportunities soon present themselves, as after the battle, both the Jedi and the Senate are eager to rebuild the capital. They cooperate to provide relief aid and help the survivors. This gives Luke several opportunities to run into Padmé and converse with her. Over time, the two become friends, with Luke admitting the compassion and fiery spirit she displays, reminding him of his sister Leia. She's unlike any of the Senate, who all seem either corrupt or incompetent. Padmé, meanwhile, admires Luke's compassion and gentleness. Even with all his power, he takes the time to understand and help the common people. It makes him feel more down to earth than most Jedi. Even Anakin takes notice of Luke and finds him impressive and what the Jedi should strive to be. At the same time, Padmé's pregnancy becomes harder and harder to conceal, leading to some uncomfortable questions, as many ask who the father is and if she will be taking a break from the Senate. For the senator, the last thing she wants is to take a break at such a crucial time. Luke sees an opportunity, offering his services as a healer to help manage her pregnancy in these advanced stages. It will allow her to continue working without having to constantly visit the hospital, and while he hides it, Anakin has begun to have his violent visions of Padmé's death and childbirth. The idea of having a healer around the clock is appealing and helps put his mind at ease. For a while, it seems as though this is enough, as Anakin is less bothered by his dreams. Seeing this, Palpatine begins to change tactics, now targeting the Jedi whenever he and Anakin talk. He brings up their failures and their many issues to try and shake Anakin's trust in them. At first, he isn't affected by this, as he believes Luke is different, acting nothing like the arrogant or distant Jedi. But then Palpatine begins to appeal to a much baser emotion, jealousy. He reminds Anakin of Rush Clovis and how close he was with Padmé, trying to convince him that Luke's feelings for Padmé are beyond professional. To a certain level, Palpatine is right. It is his mother, after all. As they spend more time together, it becomes clear that Padmé is Anakin's lover, which means the children she is carrying are Luke and Leia. This comes as a shock to the young Jedi, but it gives him a personal attachment to this mission, as he realizes he's protecting his mother. This leaves Luke spending more time with her, asking her questions and trying to get to know her more, as this may be his only chance to ever speak to her. Palpatine can twist these feelings into making it seem as if the Jedi are slowly turning Padmé against him. Night has fallen over Coruscant as Padmé walks home after a busy day in the Senate, with Luke close as an escort. They walk through the darkened streets, noticing that they are quieter than usual. He frowns and keeps his hand on his lightsaber, just as blaster fire streaks through the night. Luke barely pushes Padmé aside as more shots come out. From the shadows, the masked bounty hunter Embo emerges, moving like a phantom before leaping onto the ground, the dim light reflecting off his dish helmet. Luke ignites his lightsaber, positioning himself between Embo and Padmé. Embo doesn't waste a moment. With a sharp flick, he throws his hat shield straight at Luke, its edges spinning dangerously close as he barely sidesteps the attack. As it flies back, Luke uses the Force to redirect it, sending it out of the bounty hunter's reach as Luke rushes forward, swinging his lightsaber in a downward cut. Embo sidesteps these attacks and leaps over the Jedi, giving him a swift kick to the back as he whips out his bowcaster. Luke must go on the defensive, blocking his attacks. Embo slowly takes a step back, then rushes towards Padmé, reaching for a vibroblade. The senator pulls out her blaster and fires a few shots, but the bounty hunter dodges each one, sliding from side to side before slashing at her. At the last second, though, Luke reaches out with the Force and trips him, allowing those blades to miss. Luke then uses the opportunity to slash and pull him back, but Embo raises both blades to block this attack, then kicks him aside before scrambling for his hat. As he closes his fingers around it, another presence appears. Anakin steps out from the shadows, his expression blazing with fury as he rushes in, lightsaber igniting with a flash of fierce golden light.
Enough!
Realizing he's now outnumbered, Embo pivots and tries to back away, blocking Anakin's aggressive strikes, but he finds it difficult to keep up with the Jedi as Anakin's fury intensifies and the darkness forms up around him. Although Embo manages a few glancing blows, Anakin's sheer determination overwhelms him and sends his shield flying from his hands before a second swing cuts him down. Anakin turns sharply to Luke.
You told me you could protect her, but look what almost happened. You failed, young one.
Anakin, he did everything he could. I'm fine.
I had the situation under control. You have to trust me.
No, I don't. Padmé needs more than you can offer, Luke. You're dismissed. Leave her protection to me.
With a reluctant nod, Luke steps back, feeling both the sting of Anakin's rebuke and the growing sense that he is losing ground. He bows his head and walks away, feeling the burden of his perceived failure weighing heavily on him. He notices a presence watching him from the Senate building. Rounding a corner, he bumps into Chancellor Palpatine.
Ah, young Luke. It seems your efforts today were commendable. Though not quite successful, were they? I saw everything as I was leaving.
Yes, Chancellor. It seems so.
Such dedication you have for the Senator, though. I can't help but wonder if it's all in vain. Perhaps your skills might find a better use under a new master.
Thank you for your concern, Chancellor, but my place is with the Jedi. I'm curious, though. Do you know any other masters aside from the Jedi?
Oh, no, I was just speaking aloud. So loyal. But remember, young Jedi, loyalty can be limiting.
With this recent event, Anakin is now fully around Palpatine's finger. He fully influences Anakin, continuing to poison his mind with ideas of turning on the Jedi. He explains how he needs to grow more powerful to protect Padmé, and the only way he can learn of new abilities is with the dark side. Palpatine hints at this knowledge of the Force, and how he can even keep Padmé alive. However, this comes at the cost of leaving the Senator more isolated, as she has no one to confide in. Luke is gone, and Anakin spends most of his time with Palpatine. However, Luke doesn't leave the picture entirely and remains keeping a close eye on the situation. He is now certain that Palpatine is the Sith Lord, but he also sees his father's descent into the dark side, slowly morphing from a heroic but misguided young man into a monster. And yet, as Anakin is manipulated, he still manages to contact Mace and warns him about Palpatine. As he returns to the Senate building, he watches just as Mace Windu arrives with a Jedi strike team. His heart pounds as he follows closely behind them. However, as the door closes behind them, Luke is forced to stay outside, but takes a deep breath to enhance his senses and listen in. He can feel the struggle, the flaring emotions, the clash of light and dark as lightsabers ignite, and Palpatine unleashes his powers upon the Jedi Masters. Then, suddenly, he feels a chilling shift. Anakin's presence grows stronger. Luke ducks into another corner as Anakin comes rushing into the office. For a few tense moments, Luke watches the door, wondering what will happen before he feels another flare in the Force. This one is stronger than anything he's felt, and he realizes what happened as the darkness is nearly overwhelming. Hearing the faint echo of Palpatine's twisted voice praising Anakin, urging him onward toward the dark path, and to follow up with a plan to attack the Jedi Temple and wipe out everyone. Just as he catches wind of this, the door opens, and Luke slips out to confront him in the hangar.
Anakin, please, don't go through with this.
Anakin's eyes flash with anger as he turns and ignites his lightsaber.
You shouldn't be here.
Because you plan on killing me and every Jedi in the temple. I know more than you think. I know about the darkness you feel inside, the promises he's made. He's been manipulating you.
He's shown me the truth, Luke. You don't know what's at stake.
You're talking about Padmé, right? She matters to me too, you know.
Not in the way I care for her. With his power, I can save Padmé. I can save everyone I care about. I will do anything for that.
To prove his point, Anakin suddenly lunges forward, his lightsaber flashing around him. Luke barely brings his weapon up in time to block his attack. He stumbles from the blow, but then rights himself. Slowly, he tries to push back. But Anakin doesn't back down and comes at him again, his lightsaber turning into a blur as his anger grows. It's like fighting 3 foes at once, and Luke tries to hold him back, but Anakin gives no quarter and advances on him. Luke rights his lightsaber and tries to stab at him, but Anakin pushes it aside.
You'll have to do better than that.
I don't want to hurt you.
That won't matter if you want to defeat me.
He rains down attacks on him, but these don't work on Luke. He felt this same rage back on the Death Star when he confronted Darth Vader. It was a feeling he knows too well, and he's determined to not let it control him. Instead, he simply weathers the attacks, allowing them to run their course.
Think of Padmé. You say you want to protect her, to save her from death. But if you go down this path, you'll be condemning her and your children to a world ruled by a monster. If nothing else, think about that.
Anakin's breath catches, and Luke can see his inner struggle, the storm raging within him. The weight of Luke's words pulls Anakin back from the edge, and he hesitates. This gives Luke the opening he needs, shoving Anakin back and catching his lightsaber midair.
It's not too late, Anakin. I know the pain you're feeling, but the answer isn't to turn to darkness. Fight for Padmé, for your children.
Anakin's gaze softens, the hardened mask slipping as he considers Luke's words. His hands, clenched tightly moments before, begin to relax.
If I do this, if I go back to Palpatine, there'll be no end to the pain and destruction. I'll lose everything I wanted to protect.
Take it from me. These things have a way of working out.
For the first time, Anakin begins to sense the strangeness of Luke's presence. There's something off about him, but as he's about to ask, he hears laughter followed by applause.
Well, a heartfelt moment, is it? How touching. I must say this is quite an unexpected turn of events.
Your manipulation ends here, Palpatine. You've lied to Anakin and twisted him to serve your dark ambitions.
Ah, I see. So, you're the meddler who's been whispering in my apprentice's ear. But you've overstepped, young Jedi. The dark side is far stronger than you can imagine. I suspected you were not from here, but now I will learn who you truly are.
We shall see.
Palpatine's eyes narrow, and with a sudden flash, he unleashes a torrent of lightning. Anakin and Luke barely manage to raise their lightsabers. The energy hisses as it collides with their weapons, forcing both Jedi back. In an instant, Palpatine lunges forward, igniting his crimson lightsaber, diving with blinding speed. He strikes low at Anakin, forcing him to parry, then twists, sweeping his saber towards Luke's side, who blocks just in time. Sparks fly around them as he tries to counter, but the Emperor is already moving aside, remaining fluid and precise. Anakin counters, slashing downward, nearly catching Palpatine off guard, but the Sith sidesteps and brings his saber up. At that moment, Luke then joins in. Slowly but surely, Luke and Anakin fall into a rhythm, moving in sync, striking and parrying, blending together as they push Palpatine back, step by step. The Sith Lord snarls and tries diving back into the offense. Palpatine feints, striking at Anakin's shoulder, staggering him and leaving him off balance. The Chancellor then pivots to Luke with a brutal slash. The Jedi deflects this and dances away from Palpatine's savage strikes. Luke ducks under a sweeping blow, retaliating and piercing Palpatine's robes. The Sith twists away and thrusts his hands forward, unleashing another blast of lightning, directing the full force at Anakin. He stumbles, his saber barely holding the crackling energy. Seeing his opening, Luke lunges at Palpatine, landing a strike at his exposed side. Palpatine reacts instantly, stumbling and making a clumsy stab at him. Their blades lock for a moment until the old man breaks the lock, spinning away and kicking Luke. Before Palpatine can press his advantage, Anakin is there, his blue saber slashing down and repelling the Chancellor. Palpatine tries to throw another burst of lightning, but Luke intervenes, kicking his hand away and sending him flying into the air. The two throw another coordinated set of strikes. Anakin's blade aims high and keeps Palpatine occupied, while Luke's saber goes low and scores a cut against his stomach. Palpatine screams and drops to his knees before Anakin pulls his lightsaber aside and aims for his neck, beheading Palpatine in a single blow. The two look at each other, breathing heavily as they realize everything they've done. Luke then smiles at his father.
Master, you best get to your wife. She probably needs you now.
How did you...
I have my ways, but don't worry. Your secret is safe with me.
You're one unique Jedi, aren't you?
You could say that. Now, I have to depart. I'll see you soon.
Luke turns around and makes his way back to the temple containing the world between worlds. When he steps through, he finds the galaxy quite different. Seeing how close he was to falling to the Sith, Anakin exposed everything about Palpatine to the Jedi and Senate. For that, he was given a prison sentence and removed from the Jedi Order, but it allowed Padmé to rise and become the Chancellor. Under her watch, the Republic was able to begin clawing its way back from the verge of collapse. Even decades later, she is still dealing with the effects of the Clone Wars, but she has made great strides to close the gap between the core worlds and the Outer Rim. To help her, Anakin was sent there with his kids, acting as a diplomat to try and broker peace due to his experience growing up in the harsh realities of the Outer Rim. This became his way of making up for everything he did. But it did allow their children to grow up close to their parents and see them at their best as they worked to repair what was broken. Because of that influence, both would rise to become Jedi in the Jedi Order. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you'd like to join us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.